This is part 3 of how I met my mothers. In part 2, I told you about losing my mommy. And I told you that she was the reason why I went through that white pages and called every person in it who had the same last name as me. When I did, I got an elderly woman on the phone. When I told her who I was and who I was looking for, she dropped the phone and started praising the Lord. She knew exactly who I was. And she knew who my biological mother was, too. She gave me her phone number. Now, before I started making those phone calls, some days had passed. I had to do a lot of talking and a lot of thinking in order to get my mind together to make those phone calls. Because I had to make sure that I was doing it for the right reasons. That I had an open mind, that I was guarding my heart, and that I was prepared for all of the possibilities. See, while I wasn't legally adopted, this wasn't any different than an adopted child reaching out to their biological mother, unprompted and without any warning. I didn't know what she was thinking or feeling. I didn't know if she was hoping to hear from me or looking for me. I knew what I'd heard from family members, and it wasn't necessarily encouraging. But I had a daughter who needed me to live, and I was fighting for my life. And if somebody, anybody, could give me the information that I needed, that I could give to my doctors, that was enough. So when I made these phone calls, my mind was made up. I was not looking for my mother. I had a mother. I was looking for the woman whose biological matter had joined with the man whose biological matter created a human being whose genetic identity was connected to a medical diagnosis. Finding her was not going to give me an identity. And I wasn't trying to find her to find a family, because I had one. Actually, I had a few. Because before Yolanda, there was Claudia. I'm 10 years older than my younger brother, or one of them. My father has other children other than me. And the mother of my brother, who is 10 years my junior, has always mothered me. She's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I just never lived with her. And when she gave birth to my brother, that just cemented our relationship. While she and my father didn't work out for whatever reasons, our relationship has always continued. When I became a part of Yolanda Bogan's family, I took Claudia with me. Yolanda and Claudia became fast friends, and our relationship and our bond remains to this day. She gave birth to my twin, a miniature, dual-spirited version of me, and she was there to support me through the loss of my mommy. See, God takes care of babies and fools, and I've been both. I'm sure he knew that in order to get me to the path that he wanted me on, it was going to take a whole lot of mothers. And I think that while the journey is not over, the work is not done, and I am still not all that God would have me to be, between Claudia, Yolanda, and my godmother, Mama Norma, I've gotten pretty far along the path. At least I'm going in the right direction now. So what's the count now? 4 mothers? But 2 years after relocating to the city of my birth, I started calling all of the people in the phone book with my last name. And I got an elderly woman on the phone. And like I said, she fell out, and then she gave me my biological mother's phone number. And when I called, a young woman answered the phone. I asked for my biological mother, and she put her on the phone. But first she asked who I was. And when I told her, I think she may have fallen out too. She was my only maternal sibling, my younger sister, 6 years my junior, and 6 months pregnant. And when she put her mother on the phone, she sounded like she was nervous, a little hesitant, but happy to hear from me. Now, that was my estimation, because I didn't know her well enough to know what she was feeling or what she was thinking. I didn't know her at all, but I told her why I was calling, apologized if my call was an intrusion, let her know that I had no expectations of her. I wasn't looking for anything other than information. Instead of just giving me the information, she invited me over. Me, my man, and my daughter. My man and I discussed it and agreed that we'd go. I was clear on what I was and wasn't looking for, and what I was okay with and what I wasn't. What I was open for and what I wasn't, and what I needed, which was information. So we visited and She wanted to talk and get to know us and do all of those things. But I was pretty focused on the main reason why I was there. I got the information. And then I got to know her and her husband and her adult daughter. And she said that she wanted to build a relationship, or at least try. And I said I needed to deal with the medical issues that I was facing. And if she was willing, then so was I. But first, I needed to know how I ended up in the state of New York with my father and why I'd never seen her again. And she had a story to tell. Now, I won't go into the details of her story, and I won't go into the details of my father's story either. I'll simply say that their stories were both very different, and neither story changed what I'd been through, what I'd survived, or who I'd become. And I'd become a self-actuated, fully independent, and autonomous woman. And within weeks of that visit, I also found out that I was going to be a mother again. In the course of trying to treat my ailments, the doctors had got me pregnant. I'm just joking. I didn't sleep with the doctors, so it wasn't their fault I got pregnant. I was sleeping with my man. And since I'd been on birth control for quite a while, we didn't have any expectations that I was going to come up pregnant. The doctors neglected to mention that all of their treatments were going to make my birth control null and void. I wasn't complaining, though. I was glad to find out that I was going to survive and I was going to have a baby for my troubles. And 40 weeks to the day, about a week before my oldest daughter's 7th birthday, I gave birth to a bouncing baby girl who we named Isis. So I was a mother of 2, and my biological mother was counting herself a grandmother of 3. My younger sister had had her daughter 6 months earlier. And over that time, I'd met aunts, an uncle, cousins, and began building relationships within my level of tolerance and theirs. I got to hear stories about what my life was like before I moved to New York with my father. And I got to hear stories about what their lives were like without me in it. And they got to hear about what my life was like without them in it. But on the rare occasion that I would ask someone who should have, or I expected to, have been there at the time that my father had returned to town and taken me to New York about their experience of that occurrence, everybody had amnesia.